Today is no coincidence. And we are not, nor have we ever been, isolated incidents. Some of us have been holding our breath for 400 years. We are seeking justice as we define it. We are seeking healing as we define it. Today is about what has happened to Black women's bodies, to their souls. If it feels disruptive, be prepared. If it feels disruptive, it is because rape is disruptive. If our testimonies are painful to hear, it is because rape is painful to bear. Because the United States is one of the few places in the world where mass rapes have occurred systematically against an entire race of people and the Black women among these people, and there has been no outcry, no processes for justice, and still little to no acknowledgement, no resources, no recognition of such violations officially, and its impact on Black women and girls today. That's unacceptable. So today, because it is unacceptable, unapologetically today, we do not ask. We expect truth and justice. We declare a Truth and Reconciliation Commission and make it manifest right here on this soil.
We have to talk about what Black women have endured, what we continue to endure, and what we continue to face. We have to talk about it. 60% of Black women and girls in the United States have experienced sexual violence. This violence impacts our communities for generations and generations. We will not allow this nation to continue to be silent. It was built on our backs and with our wombs and with our hands, and without us, there would be no United States of America. Any conversation about this nation known as the United States of America must include all of the ways in which Black women specifically have been abused, objectified, exploited, oppressed, invisibilized, traumatized, infantilized, dehumanized. We have to talk about the ways in which Black women specifically are targeted for specific types of abuse and violence and denied access to our own definitions of what it means to live in our bodies. So what does this nation owe Black women? Everything.
The narrative that was expressed to me growing up was you are nothing, you come from nothing, you'll never be nothing, your life has no value, your body has no worth, no one will ever love you, nurture, or respect you, and you will never ever be good for anything else but sex. From the age of 10 until 12, my pastor molested me daily. Then at 12, he began to violently and repeatedly rape me. I tried to tell, and my grandmother's response was just what Pastor said. Pastor is good to this family, and whatever he wants, that's what you better do. And so I did. My new narrative for my life is to repurpose, redefine, and realign my life. I made a conscious choice to change my narrative. I understand today that I am not a tragedy, I am not a mistake, I am not a victim, I am not a coincidence, I am not a circumstance. I stopped stopped saying I went through this and began saying this is what I came out of.
I came from what I thought was an ideal family. 5 brothers, 2 sisters, 8 kids, mom and dad. I thought it was ideal. When I was 14, my mother allowed my 27-year-old cousin to babysit me. And this married man somehow thought it would be a better idea to have sex with me. It was in telling my mother that I was pregnant that she found out about the rape. And she beat me. I'd never seen my mother so incandescently mad at me, ever. I didn't find out until I'd worked at the Rape Crisis Center and I was 35 years old, 7 years after I'd left the center. My mother calls me and she says, "Loretta, I think you're the only child I can tell this to." I said, "What, Ma?" She's like, "You know, I had incest too, from age 8 to 16. That's why I married your father, to get away from home." And all of a sudden, I started to reimagine what had happened to my mother and why she beat me. Because she'd never had no healing, you know? And I was the manifestation of her helplessness and her rage and everything she tried to protect me from, and I was a manifestation of her failure to protect me. And so she took it out on me. And all I could say to Mom was then, "Mom, why didn't you tell me this when I needed to know?" You know? 20 years, my son was 20 years old by then, and I'm just finding out about this. But she told me when she could tell me. So, what do Black women owe each other? I think the number one thing is to tell the truth about our lives.
I have been sexually assaulted 5 times by 5 different people. Each time was forced. The most significant time for me would be the last one, the most emotionally painful. I was 24. It happened at my friend's house. I had been friends with him for many years. I believe it was 6 at this point, and never expected anything to happen like this. I am a lesbian, and he knew that. My girlfriend at the time was there with me, along with his wife. We were hanging out, as we've done many times before. I wasn't tired, but she was, and his wife was, so they went to bed. He and I stayed up, playing video games, and then started working on music. We both played the violin, and this was the thread that tied us together as friends and musicians. I really had a terrible wisdom tooth problem at the time, and it flared up really bad that night. He said he had morphine from a dental surgery of his own, and he gave me one. I'd never taken it before, so it was quite strong, and I became very, very loopy. The next thing that I know, he started fondling me. I said no over and over, but he kept insisting. I ended up conceding to hopefully get him to leave me alone. It was completely uncomfortable and I hated it. I put down my violin and I couldn't pick it up for the past 5 years. Touching it gave me flashbacks, literal flashbacks of that night. I visually saw his face every time I held it. My night terrors got worse. I had lost one of the most important things in the world because he decided to violate me and take it. This is for you guys and for myself.